Okay. All right. Everybody ready? Good evening. I call to order the July 18th, 2013 Board of Commissioners meeting. Those who would, please join us in the prayer and the pledge. Stand if you're able.
Please bow. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. Father, we thank you for all your many blessings, Father, and just want to honor you and glorify you for that, Father. Father, we ask that you would guide these men and women as they undertake the city's business, Father, that their decisions would be in the best interest of all the citizens. Father, we ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. We have a first and second in discussion. I believe we have some alterations. I'd like to present a request from the Public Works Director of a change order on Bowie Lake Road. That would be added as new business 8, or would it be old business?
The old business, I think.
Probably old.
It's existing, it's old.
Okay, 7E. There be any other alterations or deletions from the agenda?
To approve?
I believe we
You already have that?
I believe we have another one. That was part of the beer board. Okay. We have some applications removed, but that's not a change. Any other? That be the change. We have a motion and approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3 is citizens' comments.
Mayor, there are no citizens' comments tonight.
Thank you. Item 4 is awards and recognition, and at this time, it gives me great honor to drum roll Sergeant Hill, would you please approach the podium? Sergeant Hill, I want to share with you as mayor, as mom, as high school participant, as community person, you have been an inspiration to me. You have shined in this community not only with your integrity and your strength, but as being one of the best gentlemen I have ever met. You have led these kids to a place, hopefully, where they will never forget someone who believed in them, someone who shared common interest, and also told them that they can do anything if they put their minds to it. So that's my personal accolade, and I have been given the honor to share with you, to be presented to Sergeant Larry Hill in grateful appreciation for your outstanding leadership qualities and dedication to our community. The City of Fairview Board of Commissioners want to present this to you, and thank you for your service. Speech.
I'm not lacking in words, but this is really nice. When I saw,
It's okay. Let's try it.
I'd get up and look back there, I said, oh no, there's something up. I hated to give up teaching, but I had to. I'm still, you can see in this. I'm not going to quit until the good I love this town. I love the people in it very, very much. And I want to thank everybody. Oh, I'll get you, Mayor.
Will there be any other awards or recognitions from the staff,
No, ma'am.
from the board?
No, ma'am.
Anything going on that we need to fanfare? Okay.
The back-to-school bash is coming up.
Back to school bash,
but-
okay. August 3rd, Saturday, August 3rd, back to school bash. For anyone who's not been involved, it's where we participate with the Fairview Community Action Partnership, United Way, and several, I'm missing many, but several people that pitch in and help our kids get a best start to the first of the school year with backpacks and school supplies. If you know anyone who might be looking for some little help of backpacks or school supplies, please tell them to be at the
Fairview High School?
Fairview High School, Saturday, August 3rd, from 10 to 12.
Okay, yes.
10 to
that's correct,
12.
That's correct.
If anybody has any other details, they're welcome to jump in, but those are the skivvy details I have. If you have a business or a nonprofit and want to share that with the community, they're looking for vendors, and you can contact Ms. Joelle at Helping Hands, or Ms. Debbie Rainey, or Ms. Patty Carroll.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
We're also looking for volunteers. UPS is planning to bring the backpacks out here again this year from Franklin. But because Publix has started the school supply sale late, we're concerned that we're going to have a separate sorting and counting day for the Fairview supplies. So we're looking for volunteers.
Excellent. And that could be the day before, which is Friday, the 2nd, I hear.
Yes.
Okay, well, nothing like a motivation. Thank you. Any other awards and recognitions?
Just to throw one thing out
sir.
there is September, correct me if I'm wrong, September the 14th is the Nature Fest. And they're still looking for any vendors, anybody interested in a booth, or anybody wants to volunteer out there, or sponsorship. So just, you can look it up and give them a call.
Excellent. Fairview Chamber of Commerce does a great job, and they're working on Nature Fest, one of the largest events that Fairview puts on in our Bowie Nature Park. Any other interest, you can contact the Chamber of Commerce, 799-9290. Item number 5 on the agenda is public announcements.
Mayor, I have one. I'm not sure if everybody knows, but our Bowie Nature Center turns 10 on August 10th. It's a 10-year anniversary. There'll be an open house celebration, nature crafts, food, nature games, exhibits, and more. And it is free to the public, free to anyone who wants to join in from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. August 10th at the Nature Center.
At Bowie Park. Wonderful. Okay. Any other public announcements at this time? Item number 6A is minutes from the June 6, 2013 Board of Commissioners meeting. What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6B is the minutes for the June 10th, 2013 Special Call Board of Commission meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 6C is the minutes for the June 20th, 2013 Board of Commissioners meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a first and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to old business, 7A, discuss and or take action on appointments to boards and commissions. We have before us one opening on the Industrial Development Board, and we have one application, Mr. Larry Richards. What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A2 is the Tree Commission. We have one opening and 2 applicants. One has been withdrawn. The 2 applicants presented is Miss Debbie Rainey and Mr. John Hall. Would the board request any comments from the applicants?
Both here tonight.
Yes, sir.
I just had one question, I suppose.
Okay.
Debbie, you haven't broken service. Your term is ending and you're just wanting to continue, is that correct?
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Does anybody have any comments or
That
questions
leaves
for the
us with
applicant?
one.
We will pick one out of the two applicants, yes, ma'am. Okay.
I'd like to nominate Debbie Rain to continue.
We have a
with that.
nomination on the floor. Would there be any other nominations?
I second that nomination.
Second a nomination. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Rainey. Welcome again to the board for the Tree Commission. We appreciate your past service and look forward to your future. And Mr. Hall, we do appreciate your inputting of applications, and we look forward to you allowing that application to be there as openings become available.
Correct.
And being able to just continue your interest in the community, and I do appreciate that very much. Item number 7B, second and final reading of Bill 2013-13. Stuart's not
Move
here
to
to read.
approve.
We must read the caption, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mary, would you want?
Yes, sir.
Okay. An ordinance number 808, an ordinance to adopt a non-discrimination complaint procedure and a limited English proficiency procedure for the city of Fairview, Tennessee. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second in discussion. I do have a question. Ms. Crystal? Ms. Pewitt? Is this a company that's being hired? Is there a retainership? Is there someone who is proficient in all language in the, how's this going to go into the next?
The
Say we
company,
had the need tonight, where would we be?
we have a telephone number to call. They're called the Language Line.
Okay.
We have an account with them, but there's no retainer. We only pay them if we actually call them.
Okay.
There's no contract of any sort. If we never call them, that's okay. If we call them 800 times, that's okay. But we do have an account with them, and they are $3.95 per minute if we call, and they have a large number of languages. You call and you speak the word of the language you're looking for, say Spanish, and they will get you a Spanish translator on the phone.
Okay, what about the things that are not language-based, such as sign language, things of that nature? Is that a service they provide, or do we have someone identified for that as well?
You know, to be honest, I did not check into that, so I don't know
Is
the
that
answer
part
to
of the
I would think that,
adopt procedure? Is that part of their requirement that you had for all?
she didn't specify that, but that's all, very likely to be a need.
And it may be that you're focusing on just the language piece of it, but then I would inquire if we had a need tonight of sign language interpretation, do we have a procedure for that in the same light of what you've just done? Or does it cover under this and you just haven't found that second vendor?
Okay. I
That'd
will
be my
definitely
only
check
question
into
of
that.
discussion.
I will definitely check into it. That had
Okay.
not even crossed my mind. As she said,
This is through written or oral language.
written or oral. Well, I guess that would, written or oral would, I guess, cover sign language, but I don't know.
Or oral language service.
I didn't ask that one
That's okay.
specifically, so let me.
Because I speak, just because
Yeah.
sign language is in my, it came up as a question of what if we had that need?
Right.
Is this language only, or is there other services they provide? Or would we have to identify another provider and have that maybe on record so we'd know if we had the need?
I will definitely
Because there's
check
people
into
out
it.
there that service that.
You're right.
Yes.
It's never crossed my mind.
Mayor, I think it would, the bill would include, for purposes of getting your grants, et cetera, you would have to have access to sign language also. I can also say I have a lot of experience, if this is the same one, language line, with the line that the language line should use. I don't think are going to be able to provide sign language. They'll have to be a second vendor now. They do an excellent job with the service they provide, languages with different countries, et cetera. I've never stumped them on one, and I've had Chinese, with the Chinese dialects. I understand they have 9 different dialects, and I've never stumped them on one. So they do an excellent job, but I think we'll have to get on board with someone who does sign language also.
Okay.
Second
And if
vendor.
it's not required in this particular procedure, just it needs to maybe go on to the next, And then if there are others, I mean, there may be people in the room that'll say, well, what about this? That doesn't have a language and doesn't sign that we're not even speaking about now.
Right.
I'd just bring that up as discussion.
The language line goes so far as to have a card available where you can show the card to the person and it's in their language and they designate which one it is. And then you can call them and tell them, you know, I've had everything from Hebrew to Yiddish, pretty broad spectrum, and they do a good job.
Commissioner?
I agree, we need to check into that, but it's really not applicable as I read it to this. We had this at the IRS, and it's the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is what it's based upon, and has to do with language.
Okay. All right.
But-
Any other discussion?
I will check into it still.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Hewitt. Item 7C, second and final reading on Bill 2013-15.
Ordinance number 810, an ordinance for an amendment to the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 2012-2013.
Where'd you go?
Move to approve.
We have a motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
I believe, Mayor, this is the one that we've already voted on one time. This is just some bookkeeping.
Second and final reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7D is discuss and or take action on City of Fairview projects. Mr. Hulsinger, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. You should before y'all have a updated projects list for the City of Fairview projects to go through this evening. We'll start off with the City Center Greenway. We're still waiting on the, oh, did you get?
Excuse me, I've talked to the representative from Recreation Environment, Educational Services with the state that handles our area, and he contacted me. I've asked him to locate our amendment, and he said that it got lost at the state, that they are searching and trying to find it. So I'm on that hot and heavy, trying to get that accomplished at this point.
Do you have it PDF
Mac-
to resend? Sometimes it's easier to resend than look.
Right, I would just have to get you to sign. I should have it and be able to send that back in, but
Yeah.
Michael Reagan was the gentleman, and we're staying after that pretty good, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bowie Lake Road, we are at 75%. We should be substantially complete by August 5th. We're basically excavating now for the sidewalks, the curb and gutter, the roadway expansion portion, and then all the utilities have been relocated, and we're just lacking finishing. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we should see them getting close to completed.
You know, the only concern I had, if I can speak, the sidewalk, there's a huge drop now going forward. We may have to address, I mean, I don't know if we're planning on bringing more gravel.
Are you talking about in front of the Nature Center?
Nature Center,
Okay.
yes. I
The
just think
reason-
it's dangerous looking.
The reason we did the curb that way is there is a phase 2 for this project. And if we would have put a 4-inch sidewalk like we have down the roadway, and when it met in front of the Nature Center where the sidewalk looks nice, when we bring that top coat in there, it's going to be a 6-inch curb. So it'll be a standard step down. So we were doing a little forward thinking as far as its aesthetics to make it look right when phase 2 is complete. So that's the reason we did that with the sidewalk in front of the Nature Center.
Okay. There was a question about the layout of the sidewalk. And the question was the sidewalk laid according to plan?
The only place the sidewalk was going to deviate, per the drawings that I've had, when I participated in the park board meeting about 2-3 months ago, I had the drawings. The only area that we needed to work around was the mature trees adjacent to the fire station. It was always going to go down the roadway, and that's how the drawings have always been.
Okay.
So,
I think we had discussion about going around them, I think, before, when we initially started looking at planning that. Same thing was discussed about moving the sign and those big trees right there. Is that what you're calling it? So, yeah, I think it's right in line with where it was.
That was just a question there. I appreciate your answer. Go ahead.
next item is Lake Van Trail. We kind of discussed this, and it's still in feasibility. This evening, I gave you a printout of the previous numbers I've given y'all on Lake Van, also on Loblolly Loop, and then I've also even brought up Evergreen. under the lake van line item for 259,103. That's basically having a contractor to do the asphalt walk, city staff building the boardwalks. Just to put that in perspective, that 295, when I broke out the bid from the original bid process, the general contractor's bid to do that same amount of work was $395,000. So we are saving significant money, but it's still a pretty big piece of, investment.
Would it be fair to say if you took Loblolly Loop into half of the linear foot, it would be half the price?
Yes. The unit cost, the 7870 that I've got there was the original unit cost bid during the Lake Van Trail project. So obviously we'd have to scope, decrease the scope, but I would assume other than oil prices changing with asphalt that directly affected, we'd have to rebid it and see what that per foot cost would run out to be.
Okay.
Another question that came up, I think the mayor asked me some questions, I don't think I got back to you in time on it. What other options do we have besides asphalt, or would there be any problems whatsoever with any type of runoff from the asphalt into the lake?
On the original drawings, they do have stormwater control for those types of things. Once the asphalt's cured, to my knowledge, there shouldn't be issues with the lakes, but there should be a stormwater prevention program to prevent things like that. I'd have to dig a little further into the finite details of those drawings and specifications, but I do recall seeing drainage and straw bales and things like that to prevent things like that happening during the construction process.
What about after construction?
After construction, I mean, you're going to have mechanical weathering just like you do on the roadways, and you will have small gravel and, asphalt materials. Now, as far as another product, y'all have probably been in Franklin. They have a specification where they have semi-permeable concrete, usually on the front edge of parking strips where it actually absorbs the water. That's something we could look into, but I think is a little bit more expensive product. But it's pretty stout as well.
So the proverbial, say that word again?
Semi-permeable or permeable concrete.
Okay.
They
And
do a
you've
lot in
not,
parking.
you've not looked into that as far as the,
No, I have
The
not.
v-
I've
the
not
lake.
procured a quote on that, no, ma'am. If that's something y'all choose to do.
because I am very concerned with the tar, the oil, and the byproducts being that close to the lake. I believe that's very risky.
Okay.
And if there's other ways to look at it, I definitely, agree with the idea, the concept, and the purpose of the project, but definitely looking at it being affordable and it not having any detriment to the nature of the park.
And Keith might touch on it a little later. We got a pretty good clean bill of health for the lake from TWRA, so we want to keep that standard there.
Right, agreed.
So if you'll look into that and get back to us.
Yeah. I'll get the more finite details on how they're going to do erosion control and things of that nature. Bowie Park Forestry, it's gone back into city development. We had 0 bids turned in for the bid process, and Keith and I are in the process of working together to get secure quotes from a couple different contractors and try to find out, who's the most qualified, most cost-effective bidder.
Have either of the two referrals been out on site?
Not that I'm aware of. But probably next week, we should get some responses.
It's part of, you think, because the project is so small?
I'm not sure honestly why.
I have no idea. Probably.
So you left message with both of those gentlemen referred?
The one, I have to find out the exact name of the... Is Mr. Mangrum?
Uh-huh. It was the information I sent him.
Right.
Okay,
We'll dig into it further.
okay.
Triangle School, we'll skip that for later. It's another line item for Dawn to discuss. Farmers Market, we're still working on that, the PUD, correct?
That's on the agenda, yes, sir.
Okay. Evergreen Park, we are 100% complete down there with what the funds we had available, and I'll get to a little further down on the Veterans Memorial Park portion. The Bowie Park 5-year strategic plan, the city manager has tasked Keith and I to work together on this 5-year strategic plan to come up with, look at the old strategic plan, not just for the Bowie Park, but for the parks in general, so especially after we've spent the time and the resources at the Veterans Park. So Keith and I are going to be tasked to work on that together and get a good plan together for that.
Do y'all have a time frame for that?
I would hope next 30 days or so.
Yeah, probably.
Because I need to go through the original master plan and see what we have done, improvements we've done. Like, I think the Nature Center was one of the improvements. Obviously, we've completed those things. Some of the shelters or some of the activities that need to be completed. So obviously, we've completed those as well. So I'm going to be working with Keith on that.
And one of the key reasons that it was placed into the hands of staff was for the purpose of evaluating the current conservation easement and what in the master plan is not permissible.
Oh, yes.
So that omission as part of the master plan is kind of the purpose of, and then to be able to look.
Identify the activities.
And then, yeah, be able to look at the activities, and then to be able to put goals and aspirations from the departments.
Right.
Because when it was commented, Keith was in the meeting of the park board, it's no good when a document is purchased and many, many hours and people's hearts and minds are on it, and it sits on a shelf for 10 years and it's not looked at, but yet every day, the city manager, the staff, and everyone is diligently working, but not on the plan set forth. So you can see the detachment, and we're just trying to put that together to where there's a plan. And as you came on board, it may have been a very, very good thing to say, these are the goals that have been set forth. You have your own input, but this is the direction we're going.
Right.
Versus good luck, grab a stick, hope it works.
Well, Keith's got the history. I'm bringing the new perspective. So
Good.
hopefully working together with him and with assistance with the city manager, we should be good to go.
And one thing we talked about this week, the three of us, was a trail maintenance plan, so we can stay ahead of the game. Instead of closing trails completely, we close little sections, but we have a alternative route, so you can still use the trail while we're working. It's just, takes a little time to just get it all focused, and Kevin's been working on that.
And I think the
with Keith.
vitality that is, we have placed a lot of effort and a lot of funds in advertising and marketing the park. And when you see people leaving with their bikes, you know that they left, whether it was a gain or a loss. If they came here to enjoy our park because we promoted it, that at that point needs to be the consideration of the purpose of a maintenance plan. And I think I'm preaching to the choir, but I believe that's where it is. And we have a very large budget in the park budget. And at that point, that needs to be shown to the community that we're all pitching in all directions. And I appreciate everyone's effort.
All
Well, I
right.
have a question too. What about the thinning of the trees?
That's what we're talking about. The
Forestry.
Forestry management.
We're going to be working with a couple of people that we procured names and numbers on and get some bids on it and find the most qualified person and bring them on board.
Okay, and do you have a time frame for that?
I would hope to have them no later than 30 days from now, to have them under contract if all possible.
Okay, thank you.
The Roadscapes project, it's still in the NEPA phase. I do not have any further update. Just pushing as hard as I can on some of these people. Safe routes to school, we've actually got good news there. We've got to the design phase. So
Okay.
we've awarded the design contract to, I guess I can say their names, correct? Kimberly Horn. They're going to be doing the safe routes to school. So we'll have another design firm. We're kind of, dabbling in and seeing who we can utilize and, find out who we work well with. So,
Right.
but that's good news. MPO after transport, we're still in the NEPA phase. The surface transport, we're still in the NEPA phase. And then down to city staff projects. I have met with Mr. Beata and talked to him about the location of the welcome sign on his mother's property. I have sent the physical description to the city manager, who forwarded on to the city attorney. We're currently drafting on an easement agreement and have all our Ts crossed and our Is dotted, and once that's in place, we can go to work and do the installation of the sign. But it'll basically be on where Southern Road meets Fairview Boulevard, Highway 100, on the northwest corner of that property. somewhere right there. I've got to work with Middle Tennessee because they do have a light system or power system and find out if I can even go under their arrow right away, so. But that's,
I think it's a good location.
if we can procure that for no cost,
Okay, that was my
get
next
an
question.
easement, then that'd be a really good,
Okay.
good task for us to do.
And it's
Now,
mine.
I do have a question of a concern. Will this look, are we going to have it at an angle like the original Highway 100 coming in?
What we can do is we can stake it out, the foundation, and whoever wants to come down, we can all bless it and we'll get to work.
Okay, and so, and it's going to match 100% the Highway 100?
Well, I'm still going to send out requests for quotes on the sign. So the craftsmanship, the materials should be the same.
Colors will be the same.
Colors will be the same, the lettering will be the same. Everything should be the same, but the way they go together will be a little bit different, but it's going to be the same sign. It's the same columns, that the materials are sitting out there, the same column caps, the materials are
Same
sitting out there.
colors.
Same colors, same everything.
Just a comment, we'll probably never know why the bid process on the first sign wasn't followed with the next two. I'd like to, in the future, if we have a bidding process for 3 signs, we stick with one, that way we don't have these problems that we've got now, or that we've had. Whatever it takes, in my opinion, it needs to be as close as humanly possible to the sign of 100, since we got to get with one of the two of them.
And I can.
Whenever we contract it out, this is what we want.
Yeah.
That's just all I got to say.
All right. Thank you all. City paving, we were going to go out to bid for the city paving for King Road, but I've been talking with the city manager and the city attorney, and I've got to think a better perspective of what we need for the city as far as paving goes. What I'd like to work on is getting, in the next 30 days, a bid out for a tonnage of surface material, base material, striping distances, find contractors to give us a per ton cost, and we can calculate the per ton mile, put them under contract for 12 months with an option to renew additional 12 months at that rate. And then we can go out and say, we want this stretch of mile paved. This is what it's going to cost. We don't have to hire them to do anything. We can just let the 12 months go by and we don't pave anything at all. We can have them just do a small strip in front of King Road. We can have them do anything around town that y'all, the board wants, the citizens want. We have that opportunity.
Will the county be contacted in this as well? Because they offered
I'm
to
working
be
currently.
subcontractors for your paving.
We don't currently have an interlocal agreement with the county. I'm working on that process to get that in place. So as soon as I know more on that, I can report back to the board. But I'm working on getting them, because they do stuff, they just did the parking lot at the library.
Right.
They do stuff all over.
But I know we had discussed this several months ago about county, stop, city, go, you know, and I believe you started a discussion with them at that time.
Yes.
Who have you been in contact with up there?
I actually work with the guys that handle the day-to-day activities. Randy Hickman, he's one of the assistant superintendents over there, reports to Eddie Hood. So Don talks to Eddie on that side, I talk to the guys below. But even if we would have tried to work and do Dice Lampley, if we didn't have that interlocal agreement with them, there's a good chance we would have missed our window to even have them do the work. So we need to get that interlocal agreement in place, approved by the county commission, approved by our commission, and I'll find out, and probably come here first and then go to them. But have that in place so that we can use them.
Just as a thought, we have the interlocal that just opened itself with the school facility taxes, and that created not a resolution, a referendum? No. Would we just,
It was an ordinance.
ordinance? Sorry.
Yes. And that's something the city manager and I have discussed about. That's kind of where the gears started turning. I said, well, we do work for TDOT and we build to TDOT. Why can't we put a quote out there or put a bid out there, get the lowest quote, put them under contract for 12 months, kind of like we do for TDOT, and then say, go pave this section of road.
Okay.
So, and then
And that would be just individual vendors such as
will be
what
one
you
vendor.
contracted out?
Yeah, it'll be one.
Instead of bidding every time we had a project, we
Yeah.
bid, And it's a blanket that covers any paving we want to do for a whole year.
But see, asphalt prices change.
Correct.
I
Yeah,
mean,
we'd
I
like
get
it
a
in.
letter every 30 to 60 days of asphalt change of your local plants here, so it'd be difficult for them to give you an exact whenever they've got a bid done.
Talking with Griggs and Maloney, that this is not out of the question. They do it quite a bit, so.
Within reason. I mean, they wouldn't give you a blanket for the rest of your life with
No,
$5.
no, it'd be
And that's
12 months.
12 months, and that's, we talked about
Right.
an option to renew for another 12. So that's something Larry and I are going to work
Okay.
with. I'm going to get some generic specification, TDOT specifications that we can put out in the bid documents so we can go with our 2-inch top coat or whatever our binder course is. And if we come out and we don't need the full binder course, then we can identify what that cost is, and we can basically engineer it down to what it needs to be, but we know where worst-case scenario is.
Okay, thank you.
I have seen this work very successfully. It really works well for cities because, for example, the farmer's market. If you take a notion, if you've got this contract, you take a notion you want to put down a parking lot out there, a small space for somebody to park on, or a large space. If people's under contract, you can get a hold of them, say, go out there, we've got it staked out, what we want paved, put down, you wouldn't need like you would in the street, put down 3 inches of binder, 2 inches of topping, or whatever they feel is adequate, and they go out there and put it down. The neat thing with this is, I've seen it work very successfully for people who have very changing needs. You can get a real accurate estimate of what it's going to take to do a half a mile, or whatever, because when you tell them I want 9 inches of binder and 2 inches of topping, the road's X number of feet wide, it's real simple calculation. They can tell you how many feet of that road that ton will do, and they get really close. With the changing in the asphalt, this prices of this, I've seen this go back to the days of the late 80s when the oil prices were even more volatile than they are now. And what the people would do is make these bids based on a base bid of X amount of what their cost is for asphalt, and put an adder in there saying that they'll make an adjustment based from this base. So if it doubles, then their bid would double for that. If it comes down, then it comes down from the base. So, I mean, at that time, the prices on everything was so volatile, metals or anything, that anybody that put in any kind of bid that was over 30 days long, they had some base in there and then an adder for above or deduct for below. And it really works well because you've got a contract with them that they say they can respond within 20 days or 10 days or 15 days from your request, and you can get them out there and get something done. It really works well in places where you occasionally have emergencies and that kind of stuff. Road breaks down. You don't have to put out a bid. You just call them and say, come in here and look at this. We need to shore this up and get it paid.
It gives us a lot of opportunity.
With, of course, a clause of cancellation if unsatisfied.
Correct.
Thanks.
But I think that's a good, exciting on my part to be able to do that. City transportation, city center overlay, still in city development. I know that you're working with Will on that.
Me and Will be having a meeting next week sometime to kind of get some finalized on the transportation plan. Once we get everything together, we'll try to get it probably to the second meeting in August for y'all to look at. And if y'all approve the thoroughfare plan, then we'll have to have that thoroughfare plan recorded at the registrar's office. By state statute, we have to record that thoroughfare plan at the registrar's office. So if y'all approve of it, then we'll take the steps necessary to do what we are required to do. So hopefully we'll have that to y'all at your second meeting in August.
Thanks, Don. City survey?
What we've got, staff's worked on, along with Alicia Spann, the marketing intern, on a Survey Monkey survey for the park system. We've got a sample that we've kind of finalized some of it today, and we're going to try to get it to you as the chair of the park board probably tomorrow or Monday, so you can pass it around the park board and they can try it and see and do some things. It's free service. We can go on there and click on certain things and it shows us all the results at one time. But we've got a few questions. We want to send it so the park board can look at it before we put it on the website and go
Okay.
from there. So we've got a pretty good idea of what we're going to do. But we'll get that to you probably by Monday.
Great.
Next item, Windstream City Networking. We're probably roughly 85%. We're live with the new Metro E line in the building, so we have pretty good internet speed for everybody in their offices. We still have to do the final training and the final port overs of the external phone numbers that aren't attached to the building, like the fire station, my building, and the park. Their phone numbers are live, but they're not permanently attached to the City Hall main number. So Windstream is working on that, and we hopefully should see something in the next 2 weeks. Withholding my building due to construction, we've got AT&T, they should be getting my building live, get the T1 in there, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be 100% done with Windstream trained and able to start transferring phone calls.
Is that why you posted your new phone number, is Windstream gave it?
Correct. Those are the
That
new
gave me a
number.
heads up that Windstream must be
Yes.
done when you gave
That's why I
me
wanted to
that phone
send that,
number.
because now that comes straight to, we'll get you everybody's, but I
Okay.
wanted y'all to have mine because it just went online like a day or whenever I sent it to you, so.
Yeah, I thought it was
We're
last
still
Thursday.
learning some of it, but I wanted to get that out to y'all, so.
Because first I went,
What's
and then I
going,
went,
because
oh,
it doesn't.
Windstream's up.
There you go.
Okay,
So now you
thanks.
don't have to hang up and call 799-FIRE for the fire
Yes.
department. We can transfer it, or we can park calls. And the last item, Veterans Memorial Park, and City Manager Hyatt will discuss that.
Well, we're putting the fencing in now. We've got some, we went online and found some flag poles, and we're going to probably be ordering those next week. They're not very expensive, they're about $300 a piece, and we'll get those put in concrete and order our flags. We're going to get, we've got some lighting put on that on Black Pine Road. That's the right road, right, Black Pine? Middle Tennessee Electric put some standard street lights down there, so we've got some low lighting down there. They will also put a spotlight on the flags when we get it, like out here, so they will always be lit 24 hours, at night, obviously. The other thing we want to kind of just let you think or toss about, Kevin had a suggestion of renaming that road Veterans Way, Veterans Drive, something like that. So something for y'all to think about if you want to go that far and do something like, there's only one business
Yeah,
on
we're
that
expecting
road.
one business on that roadway, so that's something.
So
y'all-
we probably finish the fence probably by the first part of the week, depending on the weather. And then we'll look at getting the flag poles and getting those installed, hopefully by the first or middle of
I just got to get the lead.
August, and get that going, and then we'll hopefully have a little grand opening, ribbon cutting type thing out there for some press.
One other project that really wasn't on this list, you probably have seen this evening, City Hall and the Commission Chambers, we've painted in here. It's not dark and dreary anymore. Want to recognize the city staff for doing such a
Seal.
great job. I got a new city seal coming to go back in place of the old one that was behind you, Mayor. But Nick
We
Day
had to
did
peel
it.
it off,
It was vinyl.
so it tore.
So we're going to make a modification where it can be removed if we decide to paint in the future. Just improving the things we've got. But Nick Day did a real good job painting.
Yes.
Justin and Randy did a good job we adjusted the handrail and the finish on that. We've got some more work to do, but I've been working with the city manager on this, trying to make this area a little nicer for y'all. So, any other questions?
Just to back up just a little bit, you're talking about renaming the road down there. That's something we've been involved in before, and it can be extremely complicated to do that. It has to go through the emergency management service system,
911.
and they have to approve the renaming of that
Right.
road. So if there's another road anywhere in the county or whatever that's called Veterans Way or Veterans Drive, it can't be used. So whenever the board or whoever decides to submit names for it, it'll have to be run through them.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to have Don go ahead and start the process and
Yeah.
talk to them, and see if anything's available, and
Yeah.
come back.
I mean, I just,
Just gives us an
Veterans is a
opportunity,
big
yeah.
generic name for a lot of,
Correct.
like, roads and things, so just to
All right.
throw that out there to you, start looking at that first.
Any other questions?
Well, I don't know if this is necessarily for you, but while we're on the subject, it was brought up, I was in a meeting the other day, and somebody that attends our park board meetings regularly made the comment that we put that area in the park system. So we have this board spinning their wheels of coming up with surveys and, what to potentially do in the park, and then we're already doing something totally different. So we probably need to come into consideration as, is that something that we want the,
it's up to
that
y'all.
board? I mean, I'm just talking, because basically we said, here, this is going to be, and we want y'all to come, get surveys, see what the people want, and then we pretty much, not to say we're done with that area, but it's something that I thought should be addressed.
I felt like this memorial, though, was separate from a park. This is like a special place that this is the only thing that's going to be there. We're not going to start adding picnic tables and grills and stuff. This is a sacred area that I just felt like this board needed to address, no other input.
Yeah.
That's why you were elected to make those decisions. But yes, I agree. There are certain things that out there that we think need to go further.
Well, and I don't know that we've gone a wrong direction. I mean, it's a great idea, and we all discussed and talked about the Veterans Park, but we have a great board of people that are volunteering and giving their time, and we just basically, came in and
Maybe
moved
park,
ahead.
maybe park's the wrong word. Maybe it's memorial. Veterans Memorial
Yeah.
should be used, but I understand what you're saying.
I just wanted to bring it up for thought while we're discussing this.
Okay, thank you.
We got 7E coming up.
Okay, I'm going to make a comment because the money being spent on flags and poles and lights, I totally respect and say it's a great idea. But when I look at the Bowie Park sign that is shabby, unpainted and such, it makes me think, wait a minute, money being spent where no one's going to see anything, and our crown jewel having a sad-looking sign, what's intentions there,
Well, it's a
please?
work in progress because we're waiting for the construction to be finished. We didn't want to do
Understand.
anything that get damaged. We didn't want the sign to be laying around either and get damaged. That's why we put it back up. We've got to conform with some of the sign requirements that the code requires. So there are some things, we're going to upgrade that. We don't know if we want to go forward with a better sign. We still have Bowie Fund money to handle that sign. This is general fund
Right.
money. We got Bowie Fund money that is for the Bowie Park. So it's two different things. So when we get to a point where we want to bring that to you, we will do that, but we just don't have a plan now. We just want to get that one back up so we can get the messages out and all that.
So it was put up for a temporary only?
Correct. It is
Okay, because when I
not
saw it
permanent.
erected, I thought,
No.
no way permanent, because we had talked about the University of the rock on the
Yeah.
welcome signs,
And-
having something to do with the Bowie Nature entrance sign and
Right.
things, so.
And we had
okay.
already talked about the rock, and we're trying to come up with a plan there, but it felt like we had a couple things we needed to address first, mainly getting that project finished, the pave and the sidewalks and the street lamps up before we did that as well. So that's coming down hopefully very soon, so we can get it done before Nature Fest.
Any comments for projects?
No, the only other thing is I respect your idea of, the sidewalk and let's not have to go back. But I do think that we need to come up with a solution as far as either the Board of Commissioners need to say, hey, we're going to add some more gravel to make it. Because I think it's almost borderline a dangerous step. I don't know, maybe that's something Don could say, oh, no, it's in with limits. I just worry about people.
In the temporary, in the basis of
Base.
where it is now, until we get to the final product, is there a codes issue?
There's still a little bit of Bowie Fund money left, obviously, and when they start the paving, we can ask them how much it's going to cost to pave that. It would solve that problem. It wouldn't be temporary, it'd be permanent.
Or if we have our bid in place and we have our awarded bidder, we can say, hey, pave from Bowie Lake Road, the turnoff, and go pay, and while you're there, pave the parking lot. So we have that opportunity.
Okay.
And don't have to go out and rebid phase 2 for the whole parking lot and drive area.
Yeah.
Any other comments on projects? Thank you very much.
Still here.
And you are now 7E, discuss and/or take action on change order presented by contractor Tennessee Valley Paving, and there is a zero increase. There's a zero cost of the change order on either part, and the change order is taking place from a May 30th, 2013 expiration to a August 5th, 2013. What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
First, second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The only question I'll have, which I should have said in discussion, sorry, but was there a monetary,
No, what it was is, he added 6 weeks from the final utility relocate, but there has not been any request for additional general conditions on his part or anything else.
but in the contract, there wasn't a, if you're not finished by the May 30th
Oh,
date, there'd
you're
be a
talking about-
penalty
no,
or percentage?
No, we did not have any of
Do you
that.
have something as of the August 5th date, or is it just an unsaid
I'll have to review the
whenever?
specifications and get with the person that wrote them and find out, but off the top of my head, I do not know. I will have to report back to
think
you.
so.
I don't think we have a penalty for them not finishing on time.
So they, I mean, I know they want to be diligent, but it could go on to March, and there's no penalty for them to not be
It's not going to
expediting
March.
it.
Right, I understand.
I don't want it to go to August
Construction, I'm
1.
just
But you're
making a
right.
statement.
Yeah.
We could have some severe weather that causes a lot of.
Well, they have yet to draw any of their funds, so
Well, that's a good thing.
we have some leverage.
Okay.
And I'll just get those copies after the meeting.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you,
Kevin.
sir. We voted? All those in favor?
Yes,
You voted already?
you voted.
Any opposed?
We passed it.
All right, thank you. Moving on to new business, 8A, discuss and or take action on Resolution 9-13, a resolution authorizing the Fire Department of Fairview, Tennessee to participate in the TML Risk Management Pool Safety Partnership Loss Control Matching Grant Program. Chief Cooper?
Thank you, Mayor. Every year, we have a low claims rate. As a result, TML refunds part of our premium, and it can only be used for fire equipment. You can't use it for benefits or salaries, anything else like that. If the board will recall, during our budget workshops, I'm under a mandate now to replace bunker gear at 10 years, and 13 of my 26 sets will go out during 13-14. This $1,500 of this money will go towards the replacement of one set of gear, which is $1,900 just for the pants and coat. And the TML requires a resolution every year, and it's in front of you, and I need approval.
Move to approve.
Second, discussion.
Any discussion?
Now, so what's our percentage that we would be liable for?
Anything above the $1,500, and we're going for two sets, it's 2 times, that's,
$800.
yeah.
And you have that somewhere in your budget?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
But how many are you gonna have to replace?
I'm gonna have to, if you recall, during the budget workshops, we put off the bulk of the 13 sets until after the first of the year when we were gonna review. And, but I've already got one set that's out from the 90s, and I need to get that one ordered. And it takes about 2 to 3 months to get them. I need to get going. And I'll replace them, of course, oldest first. And to answer your question, I think you're asking, it's a 50-50 matching grant, but one set of gear costs more than the 50-50, so we're paying for everything over the $1,500 on the first set, which is $1,907 for pants and coat.
And you need 13 sets?
I will in 13-14, I will need a total of 13. We'll have to address the rest of it.
How many,
After the first year.
About
like,
$25,000, am I about right?
You're darn close, 24/7, something like that.
so but you're just asking for how many sets right now that you're planning on buying?
Just the matching on one set.
One set.
1,500 towards the 1907 of one set.
And
Coat
it's
and
in-
pants only.
And it's in your budget, so.
Yes. The rest of it's in the budget for the balance of it
which would
Any
be
other discussion?
$400.
and change.
Out of his budget would be like $407.
What are the wishes of the,
Let's get, I'm sorry, one more
Go
time.
ahead.
I'm a little bit-
Discussion.
It's a 50-50 grant,
If we spent 3,000, they would go up to
Only.
1,500 of it.
but we're not spending 3,000.
No, we're spending, we're buying 2 sets of gear for 3,400. They're giving us 1,500. You're right. If I only bought one set, they'd only go up to, what, 900 and change.
That's the question.
That's why you buy more than one set to get the maximum.
So we're not talking about one set, we're talking about 2 sets?
Yeah.
And the total cost that's gonna be coming out of your budget is gonna be how much?
It would be 3414 minus the 1,500, whatever that is.
$1,900,
Yeah.
not 800.
Yeah.
No,
We'll make sure we're clear before we vote.
and not 400 or
Right.
whatever he just said?
Yeah. If it's out of your budget and you plan, but
Yeah, I've got-
I'm fine with it. I like grant money, so, I mean.
I just wanna make
as
sure
long
we
as
were
we're
clear
not-
on the
Yeah,
actual
no,
figure.
that wasn't.
No, that's a
clear.
good
Thank
point.
you,
If I only
Patty.
bought one set,
I
we'd
mean,
only get
Commissioner.
900.
Right.
I want to get the rest of the 1,500.
So how much is coming out of your budget?
What was the
quiz.
1,500 minus the 3,414? If that on
Write
that
that down,
purchase order.
Crystal.
Yeah.
$1,900.
1,900 and some change.
If it's 1907 a unit.
Yeah, and it goes up every year too. That's the tough thing about it. It don't go up a couple dollars either. Every time you attach fire department to something, it,
Thank you. That's what we're approving, is my point. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Clarification is always good. Item number 8B, discuss and or take action on SB 129, authorization to manufacture. City Manager Hyatt.
Thank you, Mayor. Senate Bill 129 was approved by our state legislature to allow a distillery of high-content beer manufacturer to operate within cities. And what this does, we are looking at it to see if we want to opt out of it or just to be included in it. And then if someone comes and asks to get a permit, then they can come and ask to get a permit. So Larry can address more in detail.
Yeah, basically, this was a very complicated piece of legislation. It's very lengthy. I'll give you the thumbnail sketch. For the history lesson, this thing started out as House Bill 102, the Senate Bill 129. It passed the Senate, I believe, back in April. Let me look here. Passed the Senate April 18th, and then they substituted Public Chapter 445 for that bill, and it was passed by the full state legislature as Public Chapter number 445 and signed by the governor on the 16th of May to become effective July the 1st. The reason we wanted to get this before the board tonight, we give you the thumbnail sketch of what it allows. It allows the manufacturer within the corporate boundaries of the city of Fairview, well, it does in the county too, but we're not concerned about that unless they opt out. It would be the county's problem outside the corporate boundaries of the city of Fairview. But it allows the manufacture of alcoholic beverages within the corporate boundaries of the city of Fairview to include high-gravity beer that's more than 5% content by weight. It allows the actual manufacture of liquor and, in essence, takes the city out of the process. It only requirement, and there's some severe requirements of this, but the only requirement to the city, if the city doesn't opt out of this, and I'm not here advocating for either side, I just want to be sure you understand what you're either going to eliminate or what you're going to approve. The only requirement, if I want to manufacture or anyone wants to manufacture liquor or high-gravity beer within the municipal limits of the city of Fairview, is send notice to this legislative body, and then you're finished. Because the rest of it is up to the ABC and the federal liquor people that it has to meet all their requirements for storage and licensing and reporting and taxation, and it's a long, drawn-out process. But there's not even a situation where they come back to this board and ask for the type of document that you have a letter of compliance. Now, it does not say that they can't, that are immune from the ordinances about zoning and ordinances about getting a occupancy permit, but as far as the alcoholic control of the manufacture of alcohol, all they do is send a notice to this board and then proceed to satisfy the state and the feds and go into business. The state legislature allowed that any municipality or county that wants to opt out of this can do so by resolution. That's what you have in front of you tonight. The secret being that, and the important part being that you've got to do this within 45 days from July 1st, which takes you up to August 15th. and it requires notification to the ABC by the city that you have, either that you have taken this action. If you don't take any action, you have to notify them you're not going to take any action. The part that's left in here that's not really abundantly clear, it's very clear that if you opt out and sometime down the road a future board or this board decides that, well, we really shouldn't have done that, you can repeal your resolution and you go right back to the thing that they have to give you 45 days notice and they proceed. The thing that is not really abundantly clear is that if you do not opt out initially within that 45 days, you may not be able to opt out again. Then you might be able to. Here's the reason I say that. The bill clearly says that if you go past that 45 days and someone sends notice to this board that they're going to manufacture, they seek to manufacture any type of alcoholic beverage that is legal for the state of Tennessee and under the United States Code, you can take no action to prohibit them from doing that until either A, they withdraw that notification, or B, they fail to satisfy the ABC or the United States government. If you opt out, you stay, it basically preserves the status quo. If you don't opt out, then people can start manufacturing liquor. You have no control. Your 5 requirement that you not have more than 5 liquor stores is out the window. As many as they will approve, that's how many you'll have. Now, what you want to do, that's up to you. I just want to be sure you understand the ramifications. The reason I say it appears that if at some time in the future you didn't opt out now and you wanted to opt out and there was no notification pending, you probably would be able to do that, although they don't guarantee that. They do guarantee you the right to opt out within that first 45 days because they put a moratorium on people who might want to manufacture, that they cannot send notification to any municipality or any county within that 45 days from July the 1st saying we're going to manufacture. After that, everything's off the table. What I think would happen, and obviously there's been no cases on this because the law has just been passed, if you opted out in the future, let's say that 3 people went into manufacturing and they started their manufacturing facilities and then there was not one pending and you opted out, I think what would happen is you'd be stuck with those 3 and you might be able to opt out as to the future, although I can't guarantee that. But the bill specifically gives you the authority to opt out by resolution and notification to the ABC that you have done so, and that's all that's required. After that, notification comes in and you just stand by and see what they do. That's the thumbnail sketch of what this bill does.
Just for clarification, you made a statement that this would affect however many liquor stores that we allow in the city. Why would that affect?
It won't affect the people who are selling other people's product. But what I'm saying is, if I'm manufacturing and you get 5 more, now you've got 10 liquor stores in the city. You can't limit the people that are manufacturing their own. It won't affect those 5 that you've allowed that manufacture other people's product. But the bottom line would be you might end up with 10 liquor stores anyway. Because if I manufacture it, you can't tell me I can't do it unless you opt out.
I make a motion for approval of the opt-out resolution.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'm just out of curiosity. What about if, where does this stand with it being a newer bill? But what, as far as like these restaurants, these breweries that make their own beer and open up, so that would
They
include
can't
them
make
too?
their own.
Yeah.
No, not if you opt out. If they don't, anybody that can get approval from the state and the feds, and I don't want to overstate this, that's not easy to get. But if they can get it, you can have as many as you've got. I would like to add one thing to the motion, if I may. I'll also authorize the recorder to notify the ABC of of whatever action you take, if it's appropriate. If it doesn't pass, it don't need to. But if you opt out, authorize the recorder to communicate to the ABC that the city has opted out, by certified or registered mail, whichever you prefer, it doesn't matter, so that we'll have it on the record that they got it, and attach a copy of the resolution, certified copy of the resolution.
I add that to the motion that they be notified as stated by the legal counsel. Caption?
I'll get that done.
I don't
I
have
don't
it.
have mine.
That can be fixed. That's signature. Mayor's signature.
Do you have it?
Thank you. Resolution number 11-13, a resolution to remove the City of Fairview, Tennessee from the application of mandatory allowance of the manufacture of alcoholic beverages in accordance with the provisions of TCA 57-2-103.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item number 8C, discuss and or take action on Bill 2013-16.
Bill number 2013-16, ordinance number 811, an ordinance to amend the approved master development plan for Fairview Historic Village as shown on Williamson County Tax Map 69, parcel 62.00, zoned HOD, City of Fairview, Tennessee, owner 3.54 acres.
Director Lavorne, anything of statement?
Not on the ordinance, but an update for the Triangle School property in general.
Okay. What are the wishes of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Are you going to speak at the end on that? All right. 8D, discuss and or take action on ordinance to pay the chairman of various boards and commissions for their services as chairman of the various boards and commissions and to set the amounts. Commissioner Sutton.
I looked at the draft, and my initial comments and discussion with the board, I'll start from the very top, was on the planning commission. I think the suggestion was that we increase the planning commissioners' stipend or pay from $100 to $150. And the reason that was asking it, because they are required to attend most every other meeting that we have, as with the tree board, everything else. That was the one thing as far as that goes. The other provision on what I was asking for and what we were agreed to discuss was a stipend for any other meetings that are held. And I believe the stipend that we had discussed, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, was $40 for the chairman of that board and $20 for each member of that board that attends those meetings. That was my intent, that we try to set that so that we could encourage more people to participate in the boards. We've got Mr. Hall that came tonight. He's for two. We got 8,000 people in this city. We haven't had 6 people apply for board seats this year. When the boards have come open and we've asked for people to join them and everything, we need better participation and more input from the citizens. And this is not a lot of money. It is strictly a stipend so that it don't cost them anything to come down here and go to the meetings. And this would be for any meeting that is not a regular scheduled meeting, such as this meeting here is a regular scheduled meeting. Any board of commissioners meeting is a regular scheduled meeting. It should be included in it. Planning commission, the same thing. They're paid for it. The only difference in the planning commission on the one scheduled meeting they have a month would be the amount of money that's paid to the planning commission chairman. And only because they're required to go to all the other meetings that's involved in it. Any other meetings that are specially called meetings, they would be the chairman, and each member of that commission would be compensated with the stipend of the 40 and 20. Did you follow that?
Yes, I do. I just have one question. If the planning commission members are the only, I think this commission and the planning commission members are the only board members that are paid.
Correct.
Each member of the planning commission are paid. Do you want the $40 to apply to the regular meetings of the other boards? Because they don't get paid anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, because the way you had stated it, they would not get paid for the regular
No,
meetings.
any board that's recognized by the city and it's called for, I think they should be compensated.
Except the
It's
ones
just-
that are already compensated.
Except the ones that are already
Right.
compensated. However, even the ones that are compensated, if there's 6 planning commission boards, call for money, we're gonna be having many, many more. It's not gonna be once a month.
But if it's a special call meeting, then they get
They would be compensated.
they get the $40 and
Anything
the
other
20.
than a regular meeting, yes.
What about the planning commission chairman? He just gets 40 for a special call meeting? or-
He would get 40 for a special call
Okay.
meeting. Now, that doesn't include any other meetings that he would be attending
Right.
that he's already required to attend. Everybody follow me on that one? That's what the 150 is for.
Yeah. I got it. It wouldn't be any problem to, if you pass this on first reading, I can revise it before the second reading. Any ordinance is fully amendable up until the second reading, as long as it don't change the tenor of the ordinance, and this would not change it.
I really want to see it. There's many people on this board right now, the Board of Commissioners, that are on several different boards. And I would just like, and we're required to be on some of them. The state charter says we have to have some of these meetings. And I'd just like to see more participation from the people out there. And most of it has to be voluntary, I understand it, but it wouldn't hurt to compensate, which many, many boards throughout the state of Tennessee does that. They offer stipends to committee members and just to pay for whatever they need to be paid for. So it's a small amount of money. I think we've already got $5,000 in the budget. That's already approved for it. I don't know what it'll run because we don't know how many meetings we're going to have. But I think they should be compensated in some small way, and I think that's a small way.
Ms. Hewitt, can you give us clarification? Mr. Commissioner Sutton said it was already in the budget, 5,000.
Yes, ma'am. After we had the workshop, we put in we had the workshop on the stipend. I had the notes for that, so I put 5,000, a line item for stipend pay, 5,000 in the budget that was approved on, I think it was the 28th of June. There is a $5,000 line item for that.
And
Additional, on top of the planning commission pay and the board of commissioner pay. And I did increase planning commission for the chairman to be 150 in the budget piece, so that we didn't have to make an amendment once this was approved.
I didn't know it was gonna, okay. I think people should get paid, I'm not saying that, but I just don't know if the timing's correct, but I guess if we budgeted for it and didn't know it,
Well, we did, it was in the budget.
what line was that on, Tony?
I don't have the
Commissioner
budget
Sutton.
in front of me, but I could go
It's
get it.
it's under stipends.
It's its
got
own little line item. But, I mean.
And it was just for boards?
Yes,
Correct.
ma'am.
Yes, y'all do.
And it, just because it's in the budget, doesn't mean you still have to approve it. If y'all don't approve it, then it sits there and doesn't get used.
My only question on the ordinance would be that it specifies what board it addresses, what boards it addresses.
I can add as a third item, the all boards, because at the time that I had this on my notes, I went back and looked at it 2 or 3 times, it only addressed, planning commission and the other chairman. And this other came up in the, budget discussion, and, Ms. Pewitt said, it's in there, it'll be a simple matter for me to amend that ordinance if the board has to, well, you actually got 3 choices. If you reject it, I won't do anything. If you pass it, I will amend it before the second reading. If you want to defer it, and so you'll have the actual ordinance that you're passing until the next meeting, I can do that. That's up to whatever the board's wishes are.
I'm not prepared to make action or vote personally on something that's not complete, so I would definitely want it before me as actual versus, but I understand the second reading can be that as well. In discussing the boards that we're discussing, your Board of Commission is not addressed in this ordinance.
No, they're already
The 5
paid.
Board of Commissioners are not addressed in the ordinance.
But they will be in the amendment, because from what I understand, the motion says that if you call a special board meeting, then this board would get the stipend.
Is that your intent, of what you stated?
That's up to y'all. It's for, we're not, I don't consider us to be voluntary. We're elected officials. I don't have a problem with not being in there.
I have some comments I'd like to throw into the mix here.
Okay, and the only finish of my statement would be that it's lined out and that it's understood and it's not a misunderstanding that I'm trying to think of one that it wouldn't apply to.
Got
Well,
the
if
Historical
you-
Society that only meets once
Okay,
every
who would
year.
it not apply to?
If you don't want it to apply to this board and the planning commission, then I can easily remedy that. If you don't want it to apply to this board and apply to the planning commission, I can remedy that. All I need to be is told what you want to pass. And then I can, with this much of a change, it might be better if I amend it and bring it back to the next one, although it wouldn't be illegal to do that, but I would prefer to do that so you have a chance to look at it, and if I don't get all the stuff in there, somebody can tell me, hey, you left this out, and then you'll have what you're actually voting on. But I would need to be told, do you want this to apply? If you're going to defer to the next meeting, then tell me that you want to raise the planning commission chairman to 150, and that you want to pay each board member other than the planning commission and this board for their regular meetings, the 40 and 20, because those people don't get paid at all. If you want to exclude the planning commission and this board, or either one of them, from getting the stipend for a special call meeting, then tell me that, and it won't be any problem to get it in there. I just need to know what you want me to put in there.
Understand. Commissioner?
Okay, let me see if I can remember them all here. First one is, I think Commissioner Johnson should be here, so I think we ought to defer until all 5 of us are here. Second thing is, I think we ought to treat ourselves just like we're treating the chairman of the planning commission, and we're in Commissioner Sutton's proposal, and I agree with the whole idea of a stipend, so I'm not trying to talk anybody out of it. I agree with it. I just prefer a simpler system. Whereas if what we're saying is, if I'm chairman of the planning commission, I deserve a $50 raise per month because I've got to prepare to chair that thing, and I got to go to all these other meetings. I didn't do the calculation for all of y'all, but I average 4 extra meetings per month on top of my 2 commissioners. I don't think we should get a stipend. I think we should treat ourselves the exact same way that we are treating the chairman of the planning commission, and we should just give ourselves a raise of $50 or $100, and then we don't play the game of, if I'm chairman of the park commission, I get an extra 50, or if I'm on this commission, I get an extra 50. Our salary is for us to be commissioners, and we go to whatever it is that we're supposed to be going to. I don't think we ought to get into the special meeting thing yet. I think we ought to start slow. And I think we ought to rewrite, or ask Larry to rewrite our ordinance to be very simple with an attachment, an appendix, an exhibit, whatever it is, that just basically lines it out and says persons on the chairman of the planning commission gets $150 a month. A member of the planning commission gets $100 a month for the meeting, for the main planning commission meeting, if they attend. And go down the tree board, the park commission, the industrial board, every one of them, and set a rate for that called meeting. But I think we ought to do that as one, to be economically frugal, because not that anybody would do that. There is the potential that you call more meetings if you get paid for more meetings. And we have a budget problem in that we are trying to defer any additional expenditures until after the first of the year, when we're hoping our revenue will increase with that place down the road. So given all of that, I'm not prepared, like the mayor stated, I'm not prepared to vote yay or nay. I like the concept. I've talked with Commissioner Sutton about this before, and I appreciate him leading the effort here, but I would like to see it a little simpler. I would like to see it not talk about special meetings initially. I'd like to see Commissioner Johnson be part of that participation. And as it pertains to us at the board, I think we ought to be up front, and rather than do it based upon participation, I think we ought to just say, we go into these meetings, we meet more than the 2 required each month. We're going to treat ourselves just like we treat the chairman of the planning commission, and that is, our job requires us to be there. Here's $50 or $100 raised, and be done with it. Thank you.
Is that a motion for deferment?
I'm making a motion to defer.
Did you make a
Second.
motion for approval, and then we're in
Make a
discussion?
motion to approve.
So if you amend his motion,
I amend his motion by making a motion to defer.
do I hear a second?
You
I second yours to defer. so,
Discussion.
yeah, yeah, that would be one of the things when we discussed before. I have a fear that $5,000 is not going to go very far, and we can meet something to death. And I know your thought process is, that's why something like that should be in place. But I really think there has to be some kind of safeguards because, I don't know how I didn't realize that stipend was for boards, but I didn't. So I really think that it needs to have definite lines drawn out. I want to draw people to the board and want to serve and get new people in. But anybody that serves on a board will tell you they don't do it for the money. So I'd hate to spend a lot of money in, thinking we're going to lure these people to come and serve. They're doing it because they're public servants, so.
The only thing to input on that is, you're right, but the only problem that we have right now is we're not getting the input from the general population that we should have on these boards. I serve on 5 out of, I think, 7. And it's because basically on 3 of them, it was nobody else wanted to serve. I would love for somebody else to come in and to participate because I think they should. I do it for nothing. I don't have a problem with me doing it for nothing. So it's not the money, but it is a stipend to help. Everything from the state representatives and Senate, they get stipends all the way down the line. And it's small. We're not talking about $150 a meeting. If we look at it as far as the cost factor goes, some of these boards that we have right now, Board of Appeals, the Beer Board, they collect enough money from those meetings that are called for license and fees and $250. I think it was like $500 tonight for the 2 that was going to be here, more than would compensate the cost, and it would be not a program cost, but it would be a cost that just comes up. That $500 would take care of the 5 people that was here by far for any small. We're talking about $100 stipend for the 5 people. So those type boards are already basically covered within the budget. The Planning Commission board, there again, we've got people that we appoint to those boards, and if we don't think that that's going to grow and grow and grow and grow, with the addition of Walmart, we've already seen it growing. We've already had to have special meetings, and there are going to be many, many more of those. And there's too many times that we have people that don't show up for these meetings as it is. We've had several meetings in the last several years that I've been here. We couldn't have a meeting because we didn't have a quorum. So we just need to do something to try to build that up to where we can, at least it doesn't cost them to come down here and volunteer. Anything that I'm on, I'll give to charity. I don't care. It's not for me because I'm already there volunteering, and will continue to do so long as I'm needed to be there. But I'd like to see more participation from other people. It's not a ton of money. Like I said, most of the programs that we have, when they put in applications for whatever the Planning Commission, whatever, we're talking about large fees that come in here. There's several of the other committees that cost to come in here in front of us, Board of Appeals, all these other things. It costs money. So the more we have, the more money we're going to take in, the less cost we're going to have for these stipends. So just keep that in mind. I just want to get something going because the sooner we get something going, I don't think the $5,000 just to get us going. I think most of these things are going to be more than covered by the growth that we're going to have inside this city, and we're going to have more and more meetings. We're going to have to expand boards. We're going to have to do a lot of things. So That was my last input.
Okay.
There's one other thing that just came up. Commissioner Vassell just mentioned, we hadn't discussed it before because it hadn't been mentioned, but, and I can't give you the exact language, I'll need to research it if I'm going to do this, but the Board of Commissioners, you can increase the stipend to all the other boards, but there's some state law to the effect that a sitting board can't vote itself a raise. So that would have to take effect at the next election or after the next election. I'll need to pull that up and look at it and give you the exact, I don't want to try to quote the statute off the top of my head. But any raise that was going to go to this board will have to wait till at least after the next election. And I'll clarify that with the rest of it, but I know for a fact that it has to wait until the end of that election process for that board.
To be a referendum. It would go referendum?
Be an ordinance.
No, it'd go by ordinance, but you can't, your ordinance,
Wouldn't be effective until the next.
it wouldn't be effective until after the next election. I've got to see if it's the next election of any board member or if it's the longest sitting board member. I've looked at it, but I wasn't expecting that question, and I haven't looked at it recently. I wouldn't want to mislead you.
Okay.
So I know it's out there.
So if we did go the route that Commissioner Sutton was offering, would that wouldn't affect it?
No, sir. No,
So
it's
paying us a stipend for a special meeting?
paying the other boards a stipend.
Other boards.
No, the other boards.
Not this group.
Not this group, no. Not this sitting board. It would affect that.
So it would still be considered a raise if we
Right.
started giving
Unless
ourselves
you do
a
it.
stipend for special meetings.
Yes, sir, unless you do it after the next election. I mean, you can pass it, but it wouldn't become effective until after the
I
next
know
election.
we've looked at that before, and I'd be interested in the exact ruling on that. There again, not that it matters to me personally, but I know that there's limits to what you can do within a sitting board. And I think that was like $950 or, which is
That's-
what it was 12 years ago.
Right, but that's the maximum, but you can't change it during the time that board is sitting. That's grounds for removal.
That's what it is.
And I want to highlight, because the question you asked and the way he answered, and then how you asked second, I want to highlight anything that is below the commission's, anything that is within the commission's authority to vote below, tree commission, park commission, we could say a $40 stipend, and it's not the same as if we said Board of Commissioners is now getting a $2 raise, we vote on it. You can't vote on your own
Well,
vote,
my
but you can
question-
vote below.
Yeah,
Does that
my
make sense?
question was, and I apologize, but you're the easiest example to use. You're chairman of the park board, too. You currently receive nothing for that. If I understand Larry correctly, if we pass an ordinance that says that chairman of the park board is entitled to $40 a month, you're not entitled to that as chairman of the park board because that's a raise.
No, I don't
It's
think so,
below
but
us.
I'd have to look to clarify that, but
It's a
you
title
can't.
I just think it's your
money.
salary.
It's your
as you sit
salaries
right
as a
here.
commission.
I think it's just the elected portion
The
of the
title
administration.
money,
Correct.
because I
What
can
you were
switch
elected to do.
tomorrow, but the title still gets $40. So it goes back to your little appendix.
Well,
That says
but I have
chairman.
trouble with that because that to me is backdooring us a raise. And I don't agree with that. If we're going to treat the planning commission chairman
Yeah.
as $150 and they're expected to go to the tree board and they're expected to go to other boards and represent the planning commission, we ought to receive a flat amount, and part of our job is expected. Now, I'm in total agreement for the public and soliciting the public and all of that. It's just the five of us, we need to be real careful how we structure this because it's just, to me, and I know when we served on the planning commission, and we've all served on the planning commission, so I'm not trying to poke fingers at anybody. I used to do it, but, for a while too, after I got to be commissioner. But the bottom line is, it seems to me that all that is part of being a commissioner. And so if we're going to choose to ask the planning commission chairman that part of being planning commission is you go to these 3 or 4 meetings for free, then we ought to have a set salary and we ought to go to these meetings for free.
And I don't disagree, the title, going back to your appendix, I think that's a very good
No, no,
idea.
the-
And I believe it begins to be very simple of the title gets X,
Unless it's being,
whoever's in that title, and at
unless
that
they're
point, you're saying
commissioner or
that.
the mayor. And then they can't do it without giving ourselves a salary or making it effective after the next election, which is what I think is going to
Okay, we have a
research.
title that says chairman of park board gets $5. Me being chairman, or Larry being chairman, does that affect what he's saying?
I will look at that. I
Okay.
don't think it does. My first reaction is, and let me say that I'll correct it if it's incorrect, but my first reaction is it only applies to your seat on the commission. I know for a fact that if you're receiving, the pay that you receive as a planning commissioner does not count against the
Right.
maximum you receive as commissioner, because that's by statute. But I will research that and we'll give you that answer.
Okay, we have a motion and second for deferment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for good conversation. We have city manager items for.
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
can we, I didn't put it in there, but I wasn't sure when Commissioner Johnson was going to be back. Can we, I agree with Commissioner Sutton, we need to keep this moving.
Okay.
So can we, do we know if he will be back on 8/1?
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
That's what I understand.
I won't be here.
Okay, then
8:15?
8:15, can we put it on the 8:15 agenda? Can we go ahead and do that?
Yes, that's fine. If we can place that attentive on the 8:15 agenda, but it still is outstanding of what he's going to do.
Yeah,
on
and that'll give
paper.
He
him,
can get that
that'll give him
information
time to
together.
research and
I'd
get
like to
back.
see, I'd like to see.
I'd like to see it ahead of time.
City attorney,
Yeah.
give us the initial outcome on what your investigation shows. Get that to us ahead of time, so if we have any questions for any possibility of corrections on it, we get that back to you.
I will do that. What I will do is, if it's acceptable to the board, so I have one central clearinghouse, I will prepare that and ship it to Miss Teresa and have her send it to you. And if you have, in case, I think I know what you're asking, but in case I leave something out, then you can send me something back saying, you didn't cover such and such, and then I can get it back to you. I'll try to have that out to you, before I'll have that out to you before the 1st of August. So that you'll have 15 or 20 days to look at it and then get back to me. I don't mind you sending it back to me, but when I send it to Teresa, I'll send a copy to Andrew, then she'll get the copy to you, then everybody in the loop has the same information. And what I will do, if you send me back something, then I will send that back to Teresa in addition to sending it to you, so that everybody up and down the line has the same information. Because I might leave something out and you say, hey, you didn't address this question. Then I'll address it.
Okay. Everybody clear? City manager Hyatt.
Thank you, Mayor. One thing I have, I'm going to be engaging Senator Johnson and Representative Durham in the next few days about some of the accidents and things that happen along Highway 100, and 43% of our accidents happen on Highway 100. And I think there's some attention that the state needs to pay to Fairview because of the amount of traffic and the left turns and that type of thing, widening or guardrails or whatever we need to do. Usually when there are fatalities, it gets their attention. A few accidents don't get their attention, because I remember when we put the traffic light in, we're trying to get that, they said, we have no fatalities from left turn accidents. Well, guess what? Now we got something to talk about. So I'm going to start getting them engaged and possibly call on you, some of you, to be part of that as we discuss this in the future. That's all I have.
Staff comments?
I just have one real quick comment. The guys are out on the roadways doing ditch work. We've got flagmen out there. Just be cognizant of them and slow down for them. We're just trying to make drainage better, and just keep an eye out.
Thank you. Other staff comments?
Mayor, Commissioners, you got a copy of my report. Planning Department reviewed preliminary master development plan for Deer Valley Downs. And I've got it in the report as a new subdivision, but It's actually an old subdivision, but all the pre-approvals had expired, so I've got it listed as a new subdivision that's on Crowcut Road. Planning Department reviewed the architectural design for Taco Bell for compliance. Both those items were on the Planning Commission's agenda last week. The Taco Bell was granted a variance from the design standards for a section of painted metal louvers, which the painted metal is against our design standards, but the Planning Commission granted a variance for that. Deer Valley Downs was approved for their preliminary master development plan, and they have submitted a final subdivision plat for Phase 1 and Phase 2 to be on next month's agenda, so.
They'll be under the new subdivision regs.
Yes, ma'am.
They'll be the first under the new subdivision regs.
Well, part of the new subdivision regs, because it's a PUD, so the zoning was already there. So what was in the master development plan as part of the zoning stays there, but they are putting in the 612 or 630 curb and gutter and sidewalks on both sides of the street, which is one of the biggest issues or the biggest things of our new subreg, so.
Thank you.
Director, just real quick, didn't we also give them Taco Bell a variance for cornices?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Building permit department issued 12 building permits for the month of June. The total construction cost for those permits was $400,424. We issued 39 electrical permits. The complaints department received 4 complaints, forwarded those to the appropriate department for resolution. Fielded 31 calls for service-related orders, forwarded those to the proper department for work to be completed. Building codes department completed 42 building inspections and issued 3 certificate occupancies. The codes violation department received 10 complaints for the month of June. There were 25 violation letters sent out, 6 letters of failure to comply, and 1 citation written.
Thank you. I got 2 questions. On the building permits for Brandenburg Cove, those are Habitat for Humanity?
Yes, ma'am.
And were those worked through with reduced fees, or are we still on that option with them?
There was actually 3 permits.
Yes, sir.
and for those houses. 2 of those didn't comply with the ordinance that was passed. So only 1 of those were at no building permit fee. The ordinance that was passed was only for in the range that was approved by this board for those fees to be waived.
Was there a date time that expires?
According to our attorney, there wasn't.
I don't believe there was.
Open, okay,
I don't believe there was, Mayor.
okay, that's fine. All right, my second question.
Okay.
My second question is the fielded 31 calls for service related. Is that any kind of majority of calls that you can state?
It's mostly brush. pickup.
Brush?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And when you talk about 25 violation letters, would you say that there's a common theme in any of those?
Most of those, 22 of those are grass.
Grass, that's kind of what I thought. All right.
The Triangle School, I'm waiting on proposals back from Hart, Freeland, and Roberts, LRK, and Hastings Architectural Associates for the design of the MP&E on the Triangle School.
Okay, thank you. Any comments for Mr. LaVorne?
Was there any other reports for the engineers on any other part of that was requested? Then we have already had some, then wasn't there something else was requested for us to move forward with, or we're waiting on?
Well,
Elk work, I'm a air conditioner.
the previous architect that we was working with opted not to continue the work on the mechanical and electrical and plumbing design.
Okay.
So I was tasked to find someone else to do the work. And so I'm waiting on those proposals back from those 3 architectural firms to find out which one we can hire to do those plans for us.
We are still the volunteer state, right? All right.
Was that
Any
all,
other?
was it all for him? Don, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Over around Industrial Park over there are several businesses over there that you can't even see the business for the grass and stuff that's grown up around those. Are they not the same as residential? Can they have?
Yes, sir, we're working on those. John, I know, sent a letter out today to the one that's actually on Black Pine Road. The one that's on the corner of Black Pine and New Hope, we are working desperately. They actually want to do some more work or want to add on and do additions. We told them we can't approve anything until you get this property up to compliance with codes.
Yeah.
So they've been out there moving stuff around. And we're working, trying to get all those things in compliance.
We've spent the money on the lake over there, and we're going to spend some more money on the lake over there, and we're inviting people to come over there. And it just looks, I mean, this is me, it looks terrible.
Yes, sir. It does.
And it needs to be mandated that it be brought up to codes. And if not, the penalty should be the same for them as it is for everybody else in the city.
It will probably take the same route as the L&L issue did, with eventually getting to court. And, of course, L&L didn't want to comply with what they need to comply with, so they have left and it has moved away. So they're cleaning off that lot now. Hopefully they'll get it cleaned off and get it reclaimed within the next month or so. So if they don't take heed to the letters that's been sent out, then they'll wind up through the same route as L&L did with being a trip to the court.
I'd like for you to keep us posted on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other staff comments?
Just like to say we got a star party tomorrow night from 8:30 to 10:30. Our National Running Company was out here Sunday. Had 89 runners actually run. 100 runners actually paid, and 10 of them didn't show up to run. They loved it. They said, I think we just grabbed a whole nother group coming out here because everyone's like, it's within 30 minutes of where I live, and
Correct.
seemed to really love it, and a lot of good comments.
When you say 89 or 100 people paid and we had some type of agreement, do you have a profit and loss or any type of breakdown for the benefit of the city?
He's going to be working on that and sending it to us. He's actually went on vacation today. We don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. But he is going to give us a breakdown on everything and give us the
Do you know what they
check.
charged per person?
I heard $30. I think that was pre-registration.
And do you recall, did we have 25% of profits?
Yes.
You can do the math and check the check when it arrives.
Well,
Right?
that's profit, though. That's coming, he's got to
Oh,
take
he's
some
got to do his
expenses.
deductions,
Yes.
that's true. So he can have zero and we get
Right.
zero.
And
Understood.
they did a really good job cleaning up. The
Good.
staff picked up a couple flags that were left out there. They were kind of hard to see when you were out there running, but
For future, hopefully this is a great event that continues, but for future, not only their profit and loss, but it may be beneficial for you or your departments or whoever participated, for you to have a profit and loss of what actually it cost the city to get ready and to host if there was any cost. So you can always have that on our next conversation that we didn't have this time.
I could tell you that right now, there was none.
Okay?
We had a staff work. We just brought him in earlier. He left a little bit earlier. It
Okay,
didn't
so
cost
there
us
wasn't any
extra.
patrol or anything that went on over and above if
no.
the day was not happening?
And we had the
Okay.
volunteer.
Volunteers did the fire department, so no paid guys were involved.
Okay.
And
that's
there was
great.
a couple scrapes, nothing that we needed to call firefighters or anybody to come check on, just a couple bloody knees, but nothing major.
Good.
I think it's great that we're attracting these type people for the business people in this community. They're going to spend money when they come here,
What
so.
type people are they? Runners?
The runners, yeah. They may want to buy some water or
Outsiders.
something, but,
People.
I'm sorry I missed it out signing up for it, but maybe next time.
Next year. Next year.
I think it would be great, and us having some more events throughout the city, and I know the chief of police over there is really excited about that. Right, chief?
Excellent, thank you.
And one more thing, TWRA came out and shocked Lake Van and our Evergreen Lake at Memorial Park. And they gave us some recommendations. We started with one recommendation already by putting grass carp, which would help eliminate some of the vegetation. And then another recommendation is to fertilize it to stop some of that vegetation in the springtime if the grass carp did their job.
How about stocking? Stocking, especially the one over.
They have a little bit of that in here too. I mean, there's 3 pages of.
No, I know that we didn't have the volume over to the industrial part that we thought we had. Am I right? So,
And, well, another recommendation is to put size limits, creel limits on the fish, so we don't just take everything out.
Exactly.
Just put a daily limit on the fish, size limits.
I've seen
They
more
did
people over there
recommend
fishing since they worked on it than I've ever seen over there. So I know that it's understocked.
Yeah, and they did ask, or recommendation for the Evergreen Lake was to stock catfish.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's all.
thanks. Staff? Other staff? City attorney comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing further at this time.
Communication from the commissioners. Commissioner Sutton.
I think it was a good meeting. We touched on a lot of subjects. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Commissioner Casal?
No, ma'am. Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Carroll?
I don't have anything, thank you.
I don't either. A motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your attention. Good evening.